Hello, today's tale from the cupboard is more of a rambling on, really, about something that I am seeing more and more of. You may or may not be aware of a diagram called the stress curve. I will, if I'm clever enough to, add it in a little box somewhere there on the screen between recording this and publishing it. If I'm not clever enough, I will add it in the notes under the video. Anyway, the stress curve is a very well tested, very well proven theory that says that there is a curve that happens in our productivity as stress increases. So you'll be aware, I'm sure there are some days where you've got so little to do, you can't even be bothered doing the very little bit you've got. And the more stress and the more you've got to do increases, your productivity increases. And there is a sweet spot at the top of the curve up here that says, with this much on my plate, with this much going on, this is where I operate at my best. This is my good zone. This is where optimum performance and productivity for me exists. But like every curve, what goes up must come down. This curve comes down this other side. And this is where we start to experience overwhelm and we start to experience significant stress and potentially end up in burnout. There is a portion just about here in the diagram that I haven't yet shown you, but I've done all the hand gestures for it. There's a portion just about here, which is known as the zone of delusion. Okay, that in itself might be enough for you to go, blah, 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 alarm bells, that could be me. However, let me tell you what the zone of delusion feels like, and then let me tell you how to get out of it. So the zone of delusion happens when you've just tipped over from peak performance into, you're starting to head into overwhelm. And in this section, and don't get me wrong, there are very, 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 very many people at the moment whose workload, whose life load, whose everything load is meaning they're operating in this portion over here. This portion feels like the voice of the zone of delusion in your head tells you, if you just do another couple of hours, you'll get it done. Just do another couple of hours and you'll get it finished. And actually, if you look at the it, what does it mean? What is it that you're going to finish? In a cold, stone cold, sober light of day, you're not going to get it finished or it done, because the list is the issue. The list that you have laden yourself with is the thing that is not possible, not the fact that if you just have another couple more hours at it, you'll do it. I have done it myself. I do it myself. There is an hour at night. Some days you may see on social media, I'll go out for the afternoon because it's a beautiful, crisp, bright afternoon. And I think I'd rather work tonight than work this afternoon. And that's fine so long as you keep that balance. But then I'll do the 2 hours at night of work that I would have done in the afternoon and I'll carry on. I'll just do another hour. If I just get to the end of this, I'll just do. The end of this doesn't exist. It's like the Emperor's New Clothes. It's like waiting for Godot. It's like waiting for all of those things that don't actually exist. If you genuinely do have a list and it was a list of 8 things and you've got 7.5 of them done, you're not in the zone of delusion. You're in that, I'm just going to power on through and get it done. That's on the very cusp of peak performance. If you're in that thing that just says, well, I've just got to keep working because I've just got to keep working because I've got to get to the end of this list. And then you work and work and work and work and work and then actually go to bed and go to sleep and get up and the list is still there and you're still at it. There is a part of you that is deluding yourself that says that extra hour, that extra 2 hours, that extra 2 hours a night, whatever, it's probably more than 2 hours, let's be honest, is not going to get you to where you need, especially if that is a persistent thing. If it genuinely is an end, that's great. If it genuinely isn't an end, it's not. You are verging on overwhelm. You are in that zone of delusion where you're just not going to get it all done, because once that goes, there's another thing. It keeps popping out. There's a next one there. There are a number of things we can do about the stress curve and about looking after ourselves, making sure we're able to stay in peak performance and tip back and go back to rest. Like with many things you will have seen me talk about, because I'm always moving and doing the thing, if you get to here, the only way getting to here can right itself is not by going back up to the top, but it's by heading back over the other side. So if you have got to this point over here where you are doing too much, where you are either in or verging on that zone of delusion, before you really head down that slippery slope, which is very hard to get back up again, you need to move back over. You need to say no. These things might be on my list, but no, I'm not doing them. No, I'm not doing them today. No, I need to recognize that this hour, this 2 hours, this extra day, this time over the weekend, in terms of getting me in this peak performance zone up here, I need to go way back over this side and do something totally different. I need to reduce and remove my stress. And I need to do that as a conscious and deliberate decision, so it's not adding to my stress that I haven't done it. You need to recognize that funny feeling in your chest, or that clenching of your jaw, or whatever it is that is the physical manifestation of yours, of what that stress feels like. Those physical manifestations are very different. Again, I'll link another link below to what some of those are. But just deciding, I know this list is unending, and acknowledging it's unending means I'm not going to finish it today, no matter how much work I do. So I'm going to stop now, and I'm going to go and do the thing, play whatever it is you do that is not work. You need to make a deliberate step outside of that very, very incorrect mindset that says, if I just work for longer, I'll get it done. If you have ever just worked for longer and used that as an ongoing principle to live by, and it has worked because you have got it done, I would really love to hear from you. But in general, because of the way we live, because of, like I said, the stresses that are on us all the time, the way that work is going for most of us in this sector, the way that life is going for most of us in this sector, we need to acknowledge that it's never going to be done. And for some of us, in a quite bizarre kind of way, that's why we do the job we do. Because it really needs doing. Because it is an excellent place to operate. We can't do everything. You cannot do everything. I cannot do everything. Our organizations cannot do everything. We need to pick. What are we doing? What are we parking? And what are we never going to do because it's either not ready, it's not right for us, it's not right for us now, or we do not have the resource to do it well. So next time you're sitting on that cusp, on that verge over here that says, another hour and I'll get it done. My husband has a comment now. He says, is that a Clare hour or a Greenwich Mean Time hour? Because a Clare hour, when I say, yeah, you go up, I'll be up in an hour. It's never an hour. It's usually 2 or 3, and I've not finished anything. I've just moved stuff a little bit further on. Have a really good think about that. List is still going to be there in the morning, and it's still going to be there the morning after, and it's still going to be there the morning after. How best can you face that ongoing treadmill of amazingness, but also a lot of stress and a lot of work? And let me tell you, you cannot face it best by carrying on and doing more and more hours of work. You can face it best by giving your brain a break, by giving yourself a break, by giving your stress levels a break, and going and watching something on the television and having a glass of wine and eating some cheese and playing with the dog and getting some good sleep and spending some time with your kids and, I don't know, swiping left or right. I'm way too old and way too married to understand the full extent of what that means, but go look at something totally different. Whatever your thing is, whatever your rest is, go do it. You have got to head back over this curve, back into the good side of the zone of delusion. Do not head too far down this side of the hill again. It's Friday. I hope you have a really amazing weekend. I will, because I always do an hour of work on Sunday evening just to set up my week. But it's a boundaried hour. It's an hour that is just an hour. The rest of this weekend, I will not be working. You might not have a job like that. You might work shifts. You might work weekends. I don't know. But what I'd like you to do is have a think about what would it take for me to take one step back up, either out of or away from the zone of delusion, and acknowledge that it's never all going to get done. So it doesn't all need to be done today or tomorrow. Have a great weekend. See you soon.